little boys will come over and ask if you're a transformer.
I'm just Al, and that's all I want to be.
We were driving down a road in a Snatch, which is essentially an armoured Land Rover. My job is to sit out of the sunroof, basically, with a rifle and scan the area and protect the vehicle and all that sort of stuff. We were driving down a road and a man pressed a button and a bomb went off.
They didn't let my mum see me. They told her that I was ugly, I was going to die, that I looked like an alien. I mean, she could have had a complete freak. Had a breakdown, you know, they locked her room up and took her clothes away from her, so it was really traumatic, not a good start.
During my recovery, I went straight to an army hospital, obviously after the explosion. I was in army hospital in Iraq for about 6 days, because they couldn't fly me because I lost so much blood. Then I came back to the UK, went to Birmingham, to Selly Oaks, did another 2 weeks there. And then had a week at home, see the family, get drunk, fall out of wheelchairs, and then went to Headley Court for 7 months. Headley Court's phenomenal, absolutely amazing place really. You're surrounded by people who are in the same boat or a worse boat. That place taught me how to walk. They gave me my life back. It's insane how much they helped actually.
Being a teenager was difficult because people think, oh well, you're born like it, so you never question. Of course I questioned. Why me? Why wasn't I perfect like everybody else is supposed to be? You know, then that would mean I'd be pretty and all the things that I never got told that I was. So that was a very difficult time. And I also realised when I was smaller, if on the rare occasions you did go out, people would like pat you on the head and tell you you're cute and give you money. Like, well, hey. Whereas when you get to stroppy teens, people don't do that anymore. And that was a shock as well. And also I started to notice that people stared at me. And really blatant, in your face, they still do, stare at me like I've landed from Venus or something. It's bizarre.
I wear shorts quite a lot of the time, so people look at it all the time, and at first, I remember when I first got injured, I used to get really defensive about it, like people staring and things like that. And I just wasn't used to it. I wasn't used to sort of having all that attention and people staring, but then I wanted to be confident and strong, so I wore shorts, and it was quite a psychological push for myself, really. But yeah, I used to get really defensive. I remember shouting at an old guy at one point. But then this little boy, I remember plain as day, this little boy can't have been 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, came up and grabbed my leg and just went, wow. And I remember from that, just thinking people aren't looking at you because they think you're a freak or because they think you're, you know, not worthy or anything like that, which is how I felt before. They're looking at you because they haven't seen it before. They haven't seen somebody in a pair of shorts with a, you know, titanium leg. And that my whole perception changed because of that little boy.
You know, my friends say to me things like, Al, can you take that for me? And I'm going, yeah, right. And I'm like, oh God, I'm really sorry, I forgot. But to me, that is the biggest compliment because you've completely forgotten that I'm a critic. I'm just Al.
The hardest bit I remember about learning how to walk was the first time I walked on a prosthesis. It was this thing they call a cage, and it's just a cage with a false foot on the bottom and an inflatable bag. So they inflate the bag around your stump, and it's the first time you bear weight onto what is a broken femur. And that was just the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah, my memory of that cage is just sheer pain. I don't remember any of it being pride that I was standing up or anything. It was just sheer pain, it was awful. But then I remember that being the most painful few steps I'd ever taken. And the lady who taught me how to walk, my physio, I saw her about a week after I'd left Headley Court. We went for some army do somewhere. and I hadn't seen her in about 3 months. She was at the beginning of my rehab, but not at the end. And I remember walking up to her with no crutches, no sticks, no nothing, in my kit, in my uniform, in my best rig with my medals on and all that stuff, and just how great those steps were compared to the ones on the cage, and the difference between that 10 steps was just emotionally was really quite a big thing, because I felt like I'd achieved it. I was there, I was normal, I was, I got my life back basically.
I mean, for me, if you like, my biggest achievement, but it's not really an achievement, is having Paris, because again, I was told, no way can you have a child, you'll never cope, who do you think you are trying to be a mother? I can't express to anybody I try the way that I love him.
My relationship with my mum, I think it's very strong because ever since I was very little I've had to grow up with her, and it's just been me and my mum since whenever, since forever.
I mean, for him, I think 14, being a teenager, having PAs in the house, it's been really challenging for him. And I've had to kind of learn not to beat myself up about that, because it does have a knock-on effect on Paris, because of course it's going to, because he's here too. But I've always maintained, and always will do, I'm your rock, I'm here, I'm always here for you, and always will be. So even though other people have come and gone, he knows Mum's always there.
Yeah, no, after I lost my leg, I didn't really do any sports. It was quite difficult, obviously, with losing the leg, and I didn't know what was available and how capable I was of doing it, really. So I was a bit down about it, if I'm honest. And then a charity called Toe in the Water came along and took me sailing as part of my rehab. So they basically do gym work on a boat, so you race yachts against other guys. And they, it was the first time where I'd gone, actually, I can still be competitive and still be sporty and still compete at a good level, a high level. I did Paralympic sort of development stuff and did a lot of sailing, really. Sailed across the Atlantic a few times and stuff like that. So it kind of opened my eyes and went, actually, if you can do this, you can do anything.
In the UK, very much, disabled people are part of the community, regardless of what disability you have, be it mental health problems, be it learning, whatever. You are now encouraged to be out. I mean, when I was little, we didn't go out because it was like, oh no, you frighten the public. I love frightening the public. It's my mission in life to scare the general public. If you're scared of me, then I'm bloody right to be scared of me. And I think it's funny, it makes me laugh. And I get quite a kick out of it. Because I think, again, it's like, come on, I'm really not that different. Yeah, I'm not a 6-foot fashion model, but do I really care? No, I don't actually. I quite like the way I am. And that's taken time and lots of tears and pain and kind of nursing myself better that, it's okay to look the way I look. It's okay to have a body like I've got. It's about you, your personality. What do you give to other people? What do you offer the world? And again, a lot of disabled people are told that you offer nothing, and that's not true.
I do a lot of stuff with other disabled groups, and I teach disabled kids sports and all that sort of stuff. So I'd like to think that me being quite positive has been a positive influence on people, but it's always hard to tell, really. I do try and do a lot. I try and work a lot with cadets and schools and stuff like that, because actually not a lot of amputees are as confident as I am. I'm happy to walk around and talk about it and all that sort of stuff, and some guys aren't, and I think if I have that ability to do that, then I should probably use it a little bit. It's really interesting, actually, to think of the difference between being born without a leg or losing it very young and then losing it as, I was 19, so I was not mature, but I was a bit older. And I have a lot of friends who lost it young, didn't have a leg for their entire life, or an arm, or whatever. And it's really interesting to see the different opinions on it and the different perspectives on it. A lot of guys who lost their leg at birth or really young wouldn't have it back, and it's because they don't remember having one, whereas I would. But I didn't have to go through quite a lot of the hardships that a lot of my amputee friends had. I didn't get bullied at school. Well, I did, but for the normal stuff, whereas they just got ostracised for, being different, and having to go through school with one leg and being bullied for it must be horrific.
You hear so many people that, I hate this word, acquired a disability, but that's what they call it, who say, I am a better person, because it opens your eyes.
I was like most young men, I just kind of did what I wanted and ignored everybody else's feelings and all that sort of stuff. It made me grow up really, really quickly, and I wouldn't go back to who I was before to get my leg back, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't like my leg back. If I had two legs now, I could play football instead of just coaching. I could coach and play, or I could sail a lot better. And there are days where it's annoying. You're trying to get up in a hurry and you can't because you've got to spend 10 minutes sorting your feet and things like that. So I would have my leg back, but definitely not at the loss of who I am now. I wouldn't go back to who I was.
What is perfection? Am I perfection? Are you?